Hey guys, it's good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in for another one of my series of 12 episodes discussing topics that are extremely important to one's health, well-being, life, purpose, mission, and altogether fulfillment and joy in this existence we call the game of life. My name, for those of you who don't know me yet, is 𝗞𝗲𝘆 I am the founder of 𝗞𝗲𝘆 the world's leading personal growth hacking agency dedicated to empowering you to exponentially enhance the quality of your life by 10xing the only common denominator, yourself. I've created this series of 12 talks because I wanted to inspire you, empower you, educate you, and arm you with the tools necessary to create a holistic transformation in your life that is sustainable and you can take and run with whenever you're ready to have some amazing changes happen in your life. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have better software up here, it's kind of hard to run any other program and change our behavior. So it's always first starts on the mental level with us acquiring new information, new knowledge, getting a few light bulbs to go off and be like, oh, I know what you're talking about now. Oh, this makes sense, right? You have this sudden insight and things are like, yeah, I mean, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, I've been reading this, I've been hearing that, and now I finally heard it in a way that resonated with me mentally and emotionally, so I'm going to take action. So today's topic is they're all extremely important topics, but today's topic is probably the most fundamental one, because at the end of the day, without great health, there is not much else to do in life. Because if your life sucks because your health is poor, no matter what else you bring in, you're gonna lack the joy, the fulfillment, the opportunities, and all these other things that come along with having great health. Just as the ancient Roman poet Virgil said, the first wealth is health. And that's what we want to keep in mind going forward into this conversation, because I want you to think about your health from here on as your wellness account. Just like you have your savings account, checking account, credit card account, and whatever else account you have, I want you to open today your wellness account and start making investments and deposits in it so you can enjoy great health for many years to come. We're going to speak about the two fundamental aspects of health today, because there's so much and so many different alleys we can take that we can literally talk for hours and still have much more to talk about. But today we're going to look at the two main components that great health relies on, and there are nutrition and exercise. Case closed. If we do our best to optimize our nutrition, diet, eating habits, whatever you want to call it, and our exercise to fit our own specific needs, then we can be sure that we're going to enjoy great health for a long time to come. As long as, again, we're not involved in anything outside of our control, such as an accident or anything like that. So we're going to look at those two components, and we're going to take first a much deeper dive in nutrition rather than exercise, because what you put in is a lot more important than what you do with the equipment. I want you to think of it this way. If you have a diesel car and you keep putting gas in it, probably it's not going to run for very long. Or after the first or second time, it's going to go to shit. And same with your body. You have to be mindful of what you put in, because in few simple sentences, the body is just an accumulation of food. And more specifically, the food you ate over the last 1 year is what your body looks like today. So as you see me, my body is representation of my eating habits and what I ate over the last 1 year, because the body completely rebuilds itself over a period of 1 year. Each and every single cell of over 50 trillion, anywhere between 50 to 100 trillion cells is replaced, rebuilt, and recreated over 12 months. So the body you have today is pretty much, again, a snapshot of time a year ago or so. Or it's in a lot of ways a reflection of what your eating habits were and what your food choices were as well. So we cannot talk about food before we address what we should definitely not eat or make our best effort to avoid. Now, obviously, this is a gradual process, and I've been down this alley myself. I wouldn't be talking to you if that wasn't my truth, because at the end of the day, I'm a holistic transformation expert, and my expertise comes from my own experiences, from my own journey of transforming myself, my habits, on all different layers, one of which is my health, nutrition, and so on. And that was actually what triggered me to get really deep into the space of personal development, of holistic transformation, of spirituality, and all these different layers. It was all started and driven by my desire to optimize my health. So first, let's look at what are the top foods or types of foods or drinks or anything like this that we can put in that is not good at all. First are processed foods. I know this probably sounds familiar, but I'm going to tell you again. Avoid processed foods as much as you can. Not only are they full of garbage, because by the time they reach your mouth, being that they've been processed and so on, the only thing left in them are preservatives, chemicals that you cannot name or you cannot pronounce, and a bunch of empty fillers and junk, such as genetically modified oils and all kinds of crap like that, which you definitely do not want to put in your body if you want your body to perform at its best for a long time to come. The second one are even worse. They're food-like products, right? Things that don't even look like food. And how would you know if this is bad for you? Well, here is my advice. Give it to an animal or leave it out in the wild and see what the animals do with it. They don't even touch it. For example, if you leave McDonald's food outside on the street, no animal will go and touch it. None. It'll stay, as long as nobody goes and messes with it, as a person or something like that, or runs it over, or something of that sort, you are guaranteed to find it there even a year later. And the most interesting thing is that it's still gonna look like what it looked a year ago. How is this possible? Good question, right? Well, maybe it's not food. Maybe it's some sort of plastic that looks like food. Whatever it is definitely not good for you, so stay away. Avoid anything that comes in a form that is as far as possible from its origin, right? If something says it's natural, well, arsenic is natural and it's poisonous extremely poisonous and toxic to the human body. It's totally natural. So the fact that something is natural or organic doesn't make it good for you. The next thing you should definitely keep in mind on or be mindful of are sodas or sugary drinks. I definitely recommend minimizing and avoiding them as much as possible. Energy drinks, sodas, juices, anything really that has added sugar in it, which is everything that has flavor, besides the 0-calorie ones that maybe have some artificial sweetener or something fake like this. Maybe you can have these. I'll definitely rather go with them than anything else, because all these anti-sugar drinks are loaded with corn syrup, genetically modified corn syrup, which is probably one of the most disgusting things you can put inside your body. Think of it this way. I want you to start thinking this way. I want you to ask this question to yourself in front of the mirror. Am I a garbage can? If the answer is no, then don't put junk in. It's simple as that. If you're not a trash can or a garbage can, or at least see yourself as one, then don't use yourself as one. Your body tempo is where you live. This is your home. My space here, my apartment, is the shelter for my body tempo. But this is my home, because even if I lost the shelter, I still have my body tempo, and we can thrive. It's totally fine. You know, probably my life's not going to be as comfortable as it is today, but I'm still going to have an amazing home to go and kick ass with. So that's how I want you to start thinking about it. Again, this is a gradual process, especially if you're eating a lot of processed junk food, sugary drinks, and all that kind of stuff today. Well, I definitely recommend looking at which one is the worst and first eliminating that one, and then little by little start eliminating the rest. Again, this is a gradual process, so don't do it overnight and go overwhelmed and all crazy and throw away all your food and then next day go and buy the same crap. Do it gradually. Take little steps every single day. Take a step, take a step, take a step. That's how it worked for me, right? I used to smoke. I used to eat all kinds of junk and drink all kinds of junk. I didn't give a damn at all, because I thought my reasoning was, oh, as long as I work out and all this is good. Well, apparently not. So I learned from my mistakes, and fortunately for me, they weren't bad, but I could start to see the results. So I didn't want to accelerate and make these negative outcomes I was seeing bigger, greater, and better in my life. So I definitely took some drastic steps, and little by little over time, I've optimized my nutrition, my eating habits, and my lifestyle to a point that very few people are capable of. Not because they don't, but I like to go all in. And I do cut myself some slack, but for the most part, I like to go all in and really follow the rabbit hole all the way in, and over time, little by little, continuously optimize, experiment, optimize. Because with the food and how you are, it's not that hard to figure out once you well embody and you feel how things are occurring in your body. You know very well what's working well, what's not working well, what you should maybe avoid, what you should totally avoid, and so on and so on. Now, we've looked at what you should avoid. Now let's look at what you should put in. Well, it's as simple as that. Healthy fats, healthy proteins, and some healthy carbs, especially fibers, which come from eating all kinds of natural plant-based things, right? Vegetables, fruits, and so on. Best case, right? This is best case. is for you to go to the farmer's market or local cooperative and buy locally grown and seasonal fresh products, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, anything that is fresh, that is all real, that is grown locally, hopefully organic, and so on, would beat anything else. Because here's the important thing to start to consider. You don't eat for energy. I'm not going to go deep into this discussion because this is going to take me a whole maybe hour or two just to have this conversation. But it takes more energy of the body to digest your meal than the energy you gain back. However, what is necessary when you eat is to feed the body nutrition. Nutrition is like building blocks, like bricks you use to build a house. And again, if the body is an accumulation of food and it's a temple, well, if you want to build a solid temple, again, it rebuilds itself every 1 year completely from A to Z. You want to give it the best possible material so you can build a solid temple rather than one that's weak and crumbles. So picking up fresh, seasonal, locally grown products from the market would be the best thing to do. I'll explain why. This type of food has the highest amount of nutrients present in it. I do not recommend or advise you to go and buy organic stuff from the big stores. Why is that? Because it's grown in a commercial size operation and usually doesn't even get to see the sun. It's artificially ripened in freezers because it's been shipped from the other end of the world to get here before it starts to decay and turn to garbage and needs to be disposed of. So they pick it up green, they load it up in these freezer containers, they pump the produce with ethylene gas, which makes it appear as ripe, and fortunately, or rather unfortunately, this product lacks any high density of nutrients, vitamins, micronutrients, and so on that your body needs because it doesn't have time to absorb them from the soil. Because when a fruit or a vegetable starts to ripen on the plant itself, right, it sucks out through the roots, through the system, all of the nutrients and gets plumbed and pumped up with all these nutrients. It doesn't have them within prior to this. So unless the product has been naturally ripened and picked up when it was perfectly ripened and sold to you, then I would definitely avoid it. But if you have no other option, I would still rather go with organic food from the local store that you have or a big chain store or whatever. Even if you cannot afford the organic, as long as it's real food like, actual vegetables, fruits, and so on, it's still a much better option than anything that comes in a box. So still go with it, depending on where you're at. My personal choice, and this is what I'm going to do tomorrow morning. I do it every Saturday morning. I go to my local farmer's market in Santa Monica. I pick up everything I need for the week, and I enjoy it. Simple as that. Now, what I would recommend, eventually, something to aspire to, depending on where you are, right? Maybe you're there already, maybe not. I don't know what your situation is, but here's what I'm going to recommend to you. To optimize your nutrient intake and to allow your body to digest as much of the nutrients as possible, It's best to eat raw vegetables, fruits, and all of these plant-based nutrition, seeds, nuts, and so on. The less processed, meaning heat processed, the food is, the higher amount of nutrients that are still present and easier for your gut to absorb and digest, because those plants, the seeds, the nuts, the vegetables, the fruits, they already have in them the enzymes necessary for their absorption, or for the absorption of the nutrients and the digestion of the food in your belly. However, when you cook them or process them in heat in some way, a lot of the nutrients, probably at least 50%, are lost. On top of this, the enzymes are lost. So you already lost half of the nutrients just by heat processing, cooking, whatever you want to call it, your food. Now, the food also lacks the enzymes that helps your body to absorb the nutrients in it. So at best, you'll be, if you're lucky, you'll be absorbing maybe 30% of whatever is left. So instead of 100% of all the nutrients, you'll be absorbing 1/3. And if you're again eating some fake vegetables and fruits, or ones you picked up from your local store that are not organic and been who knows grown where, in like some greenhouse and in the other end of the world, picked up green and so on, there is no nutrients in them to begin with, and now you like totally destroyed whatever was left, so might as well not eat them at all, right? So this is my recommendation. That's what I do. And this is something, again, maybe you can move eventually too, if that's not where you're at yet, because it takes some time for your palate in your mouth to adjust to eat raw things and eat for nutrition rather than taste. Because here is a simple fact. The only part within your body that can taste is your tongue. So here's my question. Who do you eat for? Do you eat for yourself and your health, or are you a servant of your tongue? This is a very important thing to start wrapping your head around. Who do you eat for? Yourself or your tongue? Are you a servant, or are you the king in the castle? Yeah, it's great for things that taste well, but at the end of the day, what would you choose? Better taste or better life? I've made my choice. I can care about the taste. I don't eat for taste. Even though all the stuff I eat, I find personally very tasty. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me because I like it and I know it's good for me. I also find it tasty. Who knows? Now, we spoke about the foods and how important the nutrients are. Something else you can do on top of this, especially if you think that the food you eat lacks the micronutrients and vitamins and supplements that, let's say, not necessarily are present in that food, I would definitely recommend you taking some supplements. Vitamins, B vitamins, C vitamin you can go wrong with, zinc, magnesium, these are very good ones as well. Another one that I would definitely recommend is to start taking for 2 to 3 months at a time collagen. Why is this important? Well, collagen is the building protein of all soft tissue within the body, especially cartilage, joints, and anywhere where things move. And especially if you have pain in your knees or some point in your body, and when you move, things make noises and so on and so on. I definitely recommend starting to resupply your body with collagen. Because what happens is, as soon as you reach your 20s, for some unknown to me reason, I have a philosophical idea maybe why this is so. The body dramatically lowers the amount of collagen it produces and makes available. So in order to replenish it, you need to take it from outside sources. Right? Nowadays, this is easy. Back in the day, our ancestors' diet and lifestyle was different because they were hunter-gatherers and so on, and they would eat the bone marrow, and where normally collagen would be found in plenty. Or another thing you can do is drink bone broth. But I don't know how viable is this, rather than maybe taking collagen peptides as a protein, or a few pills every day with your meal for 2 to 3 months to replenish your system. Especially, again, if you hear a lot of cracks and you have pains in your knees or anywhere where you have joints and movement, because basically that's what the collagen does. And it helps with your skin and all nails and all these things, because it's a building block for all of these different soft tissues within the body. So I definitely recommend taking some collagen. It'll do you wonders. Trust me on this one. Now, another important thing is to stay well hydrated. Everything we know of on this planet relies or needs water. All life needs water, including us. You should be drinking at least a gallon of water every day. At least a gallon of water, to stay well hydrated and to supply your body with what it needs. Because in a lot of regards, every time you feel hunger, it's because you're actually thirsty. So if you feel like you have problem with overeating, or maybe you want to lower down your food intake and maybe you want to lose some weight from this perspective, I would definitely recommend every time you feel hunger, because there really is no hunger, but your belly feels empty. That's what it actually is happening. To give you a little hint, drink a nice cup of water. Stay hydrated. Cheers to hydration. I love water. It's my favorite drink. That's the only thing I drink beside a little coffee and green matcha tea. But stay hydrated is very important. And here's a little tip, a little hack actually, that you can do whenever you are about to sit down and have a meal. To speed up the digestion and help your body, drink a cup of warm water. Like basically half cup hot water, half cup room temperature water. So it'll be like lukewarm in a way. Drink that and you'll be helping your body not only by controlling your sense of hunger and not overeating or eating too much, but also you will help your gut to digest the food much quicker, which is very important, because in the future I'll make a whole different video about energy and how to keep a very high level of energy throughout the day. And food digestion is one of those processes that are extremely energy heavy and take a lot of energy from the body. So if we can optimize this process again to get as much as nutrients as we can and lose as least energy as possible in this process, we are making strides. But again, this is a whole different topic of discussion that's going to take a while. So stay well hydrated. Every time you feel hunger, first drink a cup of water. If after 5 or 10 minutes after that you still feel hungry, then go ahead and eat. Now, the next thing I will definitely recommend for you and anyone, because I've been on this type of lifestyle and dietary choice for a while is to experiment with one or different types of fasting once in a while. Fasting has been part of human religion, all kinds of spiritual practices and so on for thousands of years. All of the big religions, I'm not promoting religion or anything, but even they have fasting as part of their teachings. Fasting is an extremely good thing you can do for your health and for your body, because your body, just like the engine on your car, needs a day off to be on an idle, because when there is no food to digest, again, because food digestion is an extremely energy heavy process that takes a lot of the body, because it's one of those essential processes for our survival. And whenever this is going on, especially if you're, let's say, eat 2, 3, however meals you have, and maybe even snacks in between, your body is constantly in this ongoing processing of food. So you cannot take an hour or 2 or 3 or longer to actually do other things besides digesting food. The easiest, or at least the fasting methodology you can start experimenting with at first, or maybe at least few days out of the week, is intermittent fasting. What does this mean? You have a eating window and fasting window during the day. So let's say test it out one day or maybe 1 week and see how you feel, because that's what's important, right? You have more energy, you have less energy while you do it. How do you feel? I can guarantee you're definitely going to lose weight if that's something you're struggling with or something you are concerned with, like lowering the amount of fat in your body and so on. Fasting is an amazing, amazing way. No amount of exercise can do what fasting can do for you. You can exercise for a month to get the results of 2 days of fasting. So intermittent fasting, what you should strive for, if you decide to go with intermittent fasting, is to have 8 hours during the day and eat in only those 8 hours, right? You can have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner within those 8 hours, or maybe just lunch or dinner, whatever meals you want to have. But then count down, use your timer or set an alarm on your phone, and make sure, or at least try to go without any food for 16 hours. Again, when the moment comes that you feel hungry, drink some water. And here's the important thing. Not only you should not eat food for 16 hours, but you should not drink or take anything with calories. So the only thing you can literally do is have black coffee, water, and some herbal teas. But everything else is off. Because if you take even 20 calories, you're gonna break your fast and you're gonna defeat the purpose. Unless you're in ketogenic diet, but if you've never done fasting, don't count on it right now, because your body is not yet trained to burn fat rather than glucose as its main energy source. So give it a try, see how it goes. If you're successful, keep on at it. And depending on how you feel, there are other things you can do. The next step is OMAD, or 1 meal per day. This is my preferred way of eating, because I save a lot of time I save also a lot of money, which I can actually invest in the highest quality ingredients and products I can find, so I can give my body the nutrients it needs rather than just empty stuff to digest and process. And I feel amazing. So 1 meal per day is the next step. Maybe it's something you want to experiment. Maybe it's something that works for you. Everyone's different. Everyone's needs are different. Maybe you're an athlete, so you need a little bit more energy every day. I have plenty. I use my brain all the time, and whether you know it or not, even when in idle, the brain uses more than 20% of all the energy available in the body at all times. So usually this big ball of fat is actually consuming most of the energy, especially if you're doing some highly intellectual work that requires concentration and focus and so on and so on. So this has worked for me amazingly. I've been doing it for over 2 years and I don't see any time changing it. I just love it. I don't feel any reason to eat anymore. Maybe once in a while, you know, like there's a holiday and we get along together with friends and there's just all, you know, for 1 or 2 days we're celebrating, you know, go on a holiday, something. Yeah, I can maybe have a lunch and a dinner. But that's like, I don't remember the last time. I can totally not recall the last time. And again, as long as you're keeping a window, again, let's say, yeah, I can allow myself to go from 1 meal per day to intermittent fasting because I'm going to give myself maybe a 4-hour window during which I can feast, because sometimes that's what I do. I reward myself for the hard work by having a feast day and just eat whatever the hell I want. You know? So fasting is an amazing way to start getting your weight under control, repairing your body, because once your body has time to be off food, especially at least 16 hours, a process called autophagy begins on the cellular level that basically your cells starts to repair, recycle, and rebuild themselves, because instead of having to deal with nutrients transport and food digestion and all these other things, they can actually have the body gains back all this energy that it has freed up, and now it can use it to other purposes. So fasting is definitely highly recommended. Another type of fasting, or not necessarily fasting, but way of eating, is juicing. If you don't want to go on a fast completely, start juicing, because once you juice out any fruits and vegetables, right, it's not just fruits, all kinds of green vegetables, especially green stuff. You want to, like, if you're going to be eating a lot of raw vegetables and so on, focus on like green and leafy stuff. Dark green stuff is very good for you. It's all good, but focus on these, because fruits have a lot of sugar. Sugar is great, but again, you don't want to rely on sugar as your energy source, and we'll go into this a little bit further down in the conversation. But juicing is another option because it takes minimal effort from your body to digest and absorb the nutrients, right? Because the juice is literally water with sugar and high density of nutrients. So there's not much processing that the body needs to do, or digestion. So the nutrients go directly in. So that's another great way to go about, let's say, instead of fasting, or you want to be fasting but not 0-calorie fast, which would be the next step from here on, which I would definitely recommend, and something I do regularly at the end of each month for 3 to 5 days depending, is the next step from here is, and this is not a regular thing, maybe once a month, maybe once every 3 months, maybe once a year, right? A lot of, again, of the religions do this once a year, or maybe once or twice a year, to allow the body to clean up. Because as it is, life in our modern day, we cannot avoid the amount of chemicals, toxins, and everything we're exposed to on a daily basis just by breathing in, right? All this crap that the cars burn, we breathe. and none of it is good for us. Trust me on that one. And it hits our skin and so on. There's crap in the water. There's crap in everything, right? There are chemicals everywhere, especially if you live in an industrialized country in the Western world. Man, there's chemicals, toxins, and all kinds of garbage everywhere. Heavy metals in the fish and in the seas and oceans and everywhere. So the best thing you can do to allow your body to clean up from all this crap is to actually fast. And what I mean by fast, water fast for 3, 5, maybe 7, even people can fast up to like a year, depending on the amount of body fat you have and weight, obviously. But fasting for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days is amazing. If you've never done it, I do recommend. It's definitely a challenging exercise. But if you can do it once, you gain an amazing amount of leverage over your appetite, your desire to eat, your hunger, and so on. Like, you get a lot of self-control and discipline. Fasting is an amazing way to optimize your health, especially every month, every 2, 3 months, and so on, to give your body the ability to flush out all the crap that has built up. Because no matter what you do, you're still gonna be exposed to it, right? No matter how healthy your lifestyle is, you cannot just avoid all of the crap we are exposed to. That's why, to me, fasting is amazing. And obviously, autophagy, this process I mentioned earlier, where the cells start to repair and rebuild themselves, is actually even taking place for a long period. So in a way, you almost reverse your aging and repair and redo a lot of the things inside your body. There are some things to keep in mind. If you decide to do it, here are some things. I'll give you a few hacks and a few tips. First and foremost, the second day is going to be the toughest one, because your mind's going to be telling you all these nice stories about how nice things would taste and so on. And the moment you think about food, you will become hungry, or you will feel hungry. So the one thing you can do to make sure you succeed, if you're serious about it, is to occupy your mind with things. So watch a movie, read a book. Just don't have idle time to not have your mind occupied with something, because the moment you do, especially on day 2, your mind will start coming up with these beautiful stories of how tasty is this thing gonna taste, and so on and so on. And the moment you give into those thoughts, 2, 3 minutes later, you're hungry and you're probably ready to go eat. Do not do it. Again, use water to satiate your feeling of hunger, because there's no physical manifestation of hunger. I experimented for long enough to know this very well. Trust me on this one. It's all in your mind. So if you keep your mind occupied with other things, learn something, watch something, go for a walk, spend time with your friends, just do not have idle time. This will be the biggest tip at how to overcome it, because on day 3, things are a lot more quieter, and you start to get a lot of clarity, and you'll start to experience some very interesting things happening with you in your body, which you'll be like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I never felt like this. But I'll let you experience them and come back and post a comment and share with me how did you feel. If you are able to actually go through, especially through day 4 and 5 and so on. Now here's another thing to keep in mind. If you're going to water fast, I want you to get light gray Celtic sea salt and add it in the water, because you'll be water fasting. Not dry fasting, water fasting, right? And every time you drink water, I want you to get a bottle, big bottle, fill it up with water, and throw half a teaspoon of salt and dissolve it within and drink it, because what's going on is through this process you'll be pissing out. Your body's flushing away all the toxins and everything within your body, right? And with it, all of the electrolytes. And without electrolytes, which is what those minerals from the salt are, the cells in the body cannot communicate. And without them being able to communicate, they don't know who's doing this and who's doing that and so on. So there could be a lot of confusion and a lot of not so good outcomes. So you want to use light gray Celtic sea salt, add it in your water, and drink it along the way. Now, the other hack, or more, it's more of a tip that I'm going to give you, so you're not surprised if you really decided to fast, which I do recommend, because it's going to be a major, major milestone if you've never done it, is to be aware that on day 2 and day 3, you might have a very consistent light migraine or light headache. This is absolutely normal. I don't want you to freak out and be like, well, I have a headache, now I need to take pills and so on. No. What's going on is actually, this is a very good indicator of what's going on within your body. And what's going on is that because after 16 to 24 hours, maybe 36 hours, depending on what was your last meal prior to fasting, all of the glucose or all of the sugar that your body runs on has been exhausted. So now the body is going to start switching to its other alternative energy systems. Fat, and first is everything that needs to go, meaning that the body is going to start burning fat only when there is nothing else to burn that the body doesn't need. And what are those things that it burns? All the toxins, all the builds up of crack and gunk and all kinds of shit that your body doesn't need is going to start burning it all. And what's going to happen, all this stuff, basically all the toxins, the buildups in your body, they will hit your bloodstream. And with it, obviously, they hit the brain too. And you have a light migraine because all of these toxins and crap within your body. And be prepared that if you've never done this before, you might have a heavy migraine depending on how shitty the stuff you put in is, right? Don't be surprised. If that's the case, weather it out. It'll take a day. Just, again, if you keep your mind occupied with something else, you're not going to experience it much. Just, again, grab a series like, binge on Netflix, binge on documentaries. If you wanted to learn something amazing or like have a favorite author that you want to listen to on Audible or something like this, just keep your mind occupied with something else. That's the most important thing. And don't mind this, because what's going on, again, as you're experiencing these migraines and headaches, what's going on within is your body is burning all the crap within. So it's a very good thing happening. And the price is worth the admission. Or the admission is worth the price. So whatever. Point being is the effort is worth it. Because you're doing this to clean up your body. For no other reason. Right? And the migraine is just an indication that whatever you're doing is actually working. And again, write down in the comments if you did decide and you fasted. Just one last thing I want you to keep in mind. When you break your fast, if let's say if you went for 3, 4, 5, 6 or more days, right? I would definitely recommend at least trying 24 hours, then 48 hours, 36 hours, and so on. Test yourself out if you're interested. Fasting is amazing. It's one of the best things you can do for your body. But as you go and let's say you go over 2 days, what I want you to do is I want you to make sure that when you break your fast, you buy some bone broth or some bouillon, chicken bouillon or something like this, and just have a very light meal first to coat your internal intestine. Because usually what's going on is the gut bacteria has died out because it had nothing to eat. Our bellies are filled with bacteria that is actually good. They live there, and sometimes it's not good, which is actually another good benefit of fasting, because if you had gut bacteria that is the bad type that actually is stealing your food and making you feel sick and like all kinds of, it's a toxic bacteria, it's actually a great thing to kill it off by going on a water fast. But what you want to do is you want to coat your gut with some light stuff such as bouillon, chicken bouillon, bone broth and stuff like this. Also yogurt or any probiotics, apple cider vinegar, anything that has good probiotics, definitely add it in to add some good bacteria in your belly to help you again to digest and absorb the nutrients from the food, because that's actually how it works. The one thing I want to say is definitely avoid dry fasting. I don't recommend dry fasting. What do I mean by dry fasting? Dry fasting is just going on a fast without nothing, without drinking water, without eating anything, just dry fasting. I do not recommend dry fasting. This is the most extreme type of fast. I do not recommend this. Water fast to me is perfect. It's too tough. I don't know how it is to dry fast. I've never tried this and I don't recommend it to anyone. That's just an advice, because you never know how your body would react and so on. And since I have no personal experience with it, I cannot comment or make any recommendations. All I know from what I know is that it's not good for you. So avoid it, because the body is between 70 and 80% water. And you want to keep that content of water, because as soon as it goes down and as soon as you start getting dehydrated, which is indicated by the color of your urine, certain things starts to occur with your body, within your body. And none of those things are any good for you. So you want to stay well hydrated, especially fasting. Now, we talked about nutrition. Now we're going to transition and talk about exercise, movements, and the things you do with the equipment. Because first, it's most important what you put in the equipment, and then second is what you do with the equipment. Because the saying is, and this is not just with your body, it's with your mind, it's with your emotions, so everything is, you either use it or you lose it. It's up to you. Everything in nature that it's not maintained deteriorates. It's in physics, it's the law of what was it? Entropy meaning that everything loses energy over time, especially when it's not used or it's not maintained or it's not doing something in regards to maintain its state. So the key here to keep your body in optimal health, once we've optimized our nutritional intake and lifestyle choices when it comes down to nutrition, is to exercise, and especially have daily movement. Maybe you're not an athlete, you don't want to go and lift weights and so on. As long as you use your body daily in to take walks. Like, you don't have to be doing something amazing, right? You don't have to be a top level athlete. As long as you go out and take a 30-minute walk, that's still good enough, right? Better than sitting on your ass all day, because that's when problems starts to happen. Now, even if you didn't want to exercise and do anything, I would definitely recommend you going and looking up some videos on joint mobility movements, stretching, especially dynamic stretching. This will help you keep all of your joints well moving, lubricated, and give you a lot of mobility, right? A lot of ability to be flexible in your hips, all of your joints and so on, because unless we use and exercise our body properly, as we start to age, all of the joints and all these, again, soft tissues where there's cartilage, joints, and all that kind of stuff that collagen maintains, or is made out of collagen, these things start to get more rigid, less mobility, less movement, a lot more cracking, and so on and so on. So we want to avoid this. We want to keep the body as flexible and with as much mobility as possible. And dynamic stretching is the way to go. And it's something very simple and easy. Anyone can do for 10 to 15 minutes every single day. And combining it with a nice walk, well, you already have a very low level, low intensity, nice exercise that you can practice every day that keeps your body in I would say acceptable physical condition, because this would be just the basics, right? The next thing from here would be, what type of exercise can you do? Well, there's so many things you can do. Actually, you can do whatever fulfills your heart, right? There are things that you enjoy. I would imagine there are sports you like, hobbies you have. All of these activities, you can bike, you can run, you can swim, you can surf, you can, whatever the hell it is. Any of those sports will do, especially things that will test your endurance or allow you to build up endurance. Endurance is a great type of exercise or type of physical ability to develop. Prolonged type of exercises with consistent pace, right? Running a marathon, biking for long distances, swimming long distances, anything endurance-wise is a great type of exercise. Another one is high-intensity interval training. Right? There are different types of exercise we're going to discuss, not in deep detail because each of them we can go and spend hours on, but to give you some ideas of what the different types of exercises are. Again, endurance is great for your cardiovascular capacity and oxygen intake and so on. It is great. The idea is, though, to bring variety so your body doesn't get used to just one type of physical exertion, but rather it's always like kind of surprised, right? One day you take a walk, one day you do something endurance, then the next day you do resistance training, which means lifting weights. The next day you do high intensity training or Tabata style exercises. Then you do movements, right? Stretching and recovery through foam rolling and massage and dynamic and static stretching, even yoga, anything that brings mobility. So combining different types of exercises is best. So that way your body's constantly exposed to something new and different. Plus it's nice and fresh for your mind too, rather than having kind of like a very stuck routine. My routine, for example, is a combination of 4 or 5 different things that I do have a pretty set routine, but it's a combination of so many of these different types of exercises that for a short amount of time, I've compressed all of them in a highly effective package that gives me all of those different types of exercises at once for, again, in a very compressed time frame. So I have a lot of other time to do other things as well. But definitely health is a priority for me. So working out every day, every single day is a non-negotiable. So again, resistance training for building up your muscles, great way to exercise. You don't even need to go to the gym or use weights, especially as situations right now is with the pandemic and so on. You can do it at home using your own body weight. Here are a few tips that I want you to keep in mind if you want to make the max out of it, right? To make the most out of the exercise. I want you to do it super slow. It doesn't matter in what situation you do it. If you do resistance training or any type of training where you're using weights, your own body weights or additional weights, I want you to do it as slow as possible in both directions. And always do it until muscle failure. You want to make sure that you do it as slow as possible and until your muscles fail. This will make sure that you're making the greatest impact in that exercise. The amount of repetition is not important. The intensity, however, is, because this is what's going to allow your muscles to grow or give the signal to your brain to grow your muscles. So always focus on intensity, prioritize intensity. Same goes with high intensity interval training or heat type of training, right? Which means that you have, let's say you're running. I'll give you a simple example. You're running, you start with 1 minute of moderate pace run. Then after a minute, you sprint as fast as you can for 1 minute. Then for another minute, you slow down and again, you run with moderate pace. And then you restart and you run as fast as you can for another minute. The idea here is to vary the intensity. You go from a moderate to the highest intensity possible, and then you go back to that. And you do this 3 or 4 times. Moderate to high intensity, moderate to high intensity, moderate to high intensity. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It could be done in running, it could be done in sparring, it could be done in all kinds of circumstances, right? Or even on a bicycle. You can do it on a bicycle, you can do it while swimming, you can do it in pretty much any exercise that doesn't require resistance training, where you're not lifting weights. Any aerobic exercise, you can definitely, or cardio exercise, you can definitely do this. Tabata is also similar. It's just one has a lot more extreme, right? Like Tabata is you go really extreme. You go from for a short amount of time, but you go to your highest potential, to 110%. Like you literally give it all. And that's what actually I recommend. Literally giving it all, because it actually has great benefits on the levels of stress within your body. Because a lot of people think and have heard that exercising is good for stress levels and so on. Well, not necessarily. Because if you're not, unless you're doing this type of exercise, as I already mentioned, where intensity is the key, where you focus on intensity, where you go all out as if you're fighting for your life or you're running for your life, you're not going to be doing a lot to allow your body to process all of the chemicals and hormones of stress. So they'll keep on building up. So doing the high intensity or Tabata exercises or resistance training to failure super slow, where you're really pushing yourself to the maximum, will definitely give you that result. So this is something important to keep in mind. Now, again, here are a few important tips. Regardless of what exercise you do, even again, if it's just a walk in the park, I want you to first start with dynamic stretching. Stretching and joint mobility is extremely important, especially for avoiding injuries and just keeping your body, all of its joints and so on, fully flexible, mobile, and in good condition. So you always want to warm up with a nice dynamic stretching. And I do want to exaggerate dynamic, not static, because there is a difference. Static stretching you use for recovery, because you don't want to stretch your muscles before you've actually exercised them and put them to the test. Because just like a spring only has a lot of energy when it's compressed, right? Once you stretch it, not so much, right? So you want to use dynamic stretching first. And what means dynamic stretching? Means you're doing it with movements rather than you just static stretching. I'll demonstrate. A simple static stretch for your hand is something like this. So I'll pull up my hand and hold it tight. So all this area here in my arm, my triceps, and some of my back is being stretched. This is static stretching. Where dynamic stretching will be something like this, right? I'm moving around. I'm not necessarily using pressure, applying pressure with no movements just to stretch my muscles. You don't want to do static stretching prior to exercise. You want to do it afterwards for recovery. Static stretching is for recovery. Recovery is just like exercise is good to get things working in recovery, and nutrition is more important because it's the rebuilding process that actually gives you the result. Because while we exercise, we destroy what there is, or we give a signal to the mind that what we already have is not sufficient, so we need to build a more solid, a stronger body tempo, and that's what it does. So the recovery process is extremely important as much as the nutrition, because again, if we are to build a solid body tempo, well, we need the bricks to build it from. If we don't have the bricks, well, there's not much we can build now, can we? So recovery after exercise with static stretching or foam rolling is another good way, the cheap way to go. Another one is deep tissue massage, but obviously this is something you can do once in a while, or if you can afford it, by all means do it every time, right? Foam rolling would be the simplest form, or a good type of static stretching. In the near future, I will create a video that I will show you what my routine looks like, and I'll explain and add all of the different stretches I do and mobility movements and so on, and warms ups and different energy exercises and spiritual and energy combination of exercises that I've learned through the years that combine different types of advanced yogic ideas and so on. So look forward to this video. Leave me a comment, leave me a question regards this video. I'm always looking to serve you guys, to educate you, to empower you, and to inspire you to be the greatest version of yourself that you can possibly be, because I know that within you there is the seed of greatness, and all you need to do is find where it is and nurture it to its fullest potential. So that's what I'm here to do, to empower you, because I had nobody to do it for me, and at least I've always been this very determined person to, once I find something that I'm really into, to go after it and give it all. And that's what I'm doing, giving it all, and want to serve you guys as powerfully as possible. So where did we get to? Oh yeah, let's review quickly the two energy systems within our body. Now, here's something interesting to realize and be aware of. First, our body has two main energy systems when it comes down to the energy we take from nutrition and so on, right? There are other ones that are more advanced, but those are topics for other discussions. But when it comes down to exercise, what we'll be looking at is fat and glucose. Those are the two main fuel sources of the body, fat and glucose. Most people that haven't been doing certain exercises and diets like ketogenic diets and so on are burning glucose or sugar in their blood to supply energy to the muscles and all the organs and so on, which is highly ineffective to say the least, but it's the most common thing everyone does. And how do you know? Well, here's a very simple thing that goes on. Whenever your body is predominantly running on glucose, what happens is after, let's say, a long cardio or an exercise or one of these high intensity exercise, you're gonna start to feel a pain right here, like a dull pain. It's not like a sharp pain or something, but you're definitely gonna feel a pain. This is because the glucose in your blood has been exhausted. And now you're kind of starting to run low on energy, and your body will eventually switch to burning fat, but you want to train your body to burn fat rather than do glucose, because fat is the most energy dense and long burning type of fuel. Will give you energy and performance consistently for a long time without crashing, without anything like this. So training your body to burn fat is the most important thing you can do as you optimize your health and when it comes down to exercise and so on. And how you do it? Well, again, through dietary choices, the amounts of meals you have per day, and so on and so on. But I wanted to point out those two different systems so you are aware of what's going on within your body. Now, obviously, if you take away the sugar and you minimize your sugar intake, there's not going to be much of it. And then you switch around and you start focusing again on healthy fats, proteins, and a little bit of carbs, right? Not too much carbs, because carbs are converted into sugar. So we want to, I won't say avoid this, but at best, it's just fibers that come from plant-based foods, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, berries, anything like that. So little by little, if you put your mind to it, you can definitely transition from burning sugar as your main energy source to burning fat. And that will give you an extremely, again, sustained and balanced energy level throughout the day, regardless of what you do. Literally, regardless of what you do. There comes a point where your body's so optimized that your energy rarely ever varies. And if it does, it's usually because you ate something that makes you sleepy, which is a good thing to be mindful of as well as you're optimizing your nutrition and diet. Now, finally, the last thing I want you to be mindful of as you exercise, regardless what type of exercise you do, to make the most out of it, to avoid injuries, and just, I want you to use your exercise as a mindfulness exercise. Not only would you be exercising your muscles and physically, but I want you to use it as a mindfulness exercise. And the 4 things I want you to be mindful of to make the most out of your exercise is, first, your posture, right? You want to have a good, healthy posture. This is extremely important. As one of my videos on emotional intelligence go and watch it, explains in detail the importance of posture. You want to make sure that you have good, healthy posture while you exercise, right? You're not doing something that's definitely not good for you when it comes down to posture, because if you have the wrong posture, you can injure yourself badly. So the first thing is posture. The second thing is your breathing. Where is your breathing? What's going on? Every time you exercise, I want you to be aware of your breathing. And here is the most important hack. If you don't lose your breath, you don't have to catch it. So regardless of how intense the exercise is, if you know how to breathe, or you get used to breathe in pace with what you're doing, you're not going to be losing your breath. So this is something important to keep in mind and be mindful of. Your breath. Where is your breath? Are you breathing? Are you mindful and conscious of your breathing? The second thing is your mental focus. What are you focused on while you exercise, right? Are you mindful again? Are you focused on your breathing? Are you focused on your posture? Are you focused on being present and feeling in your body? Or are you lost somewhere in thoughts and so on? So I want you to be very, very present in that moment and enjoy it, and just be mindful of all these things: your breathing, your posture, and also your stance. How you stand. Like, are you having the proper stand? Are you stable? Are you off balance? Right? Those type of things. Just always be mindful, be present, and use all of your exercises as a mindfulness moment. Especially if this is something that's new to you, or you're getting into mindfulness and different practices of awareness, internal and external. This is a great place or a great thing to combine as you exercise, so that way you're hitting multiple targets with this one effort. I know there was a lot of pieces of information in this video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode and serving you powerfully. Before we go, I want you to keep in mind that I'm offering each and every one of you a complimentary private life coaching session if you go and book it down below. It's a value of over $2,000, which I've waived for my audience because I really want to serve you powerfully, and you'll be getting the best of me during your coaching session if you take me up on my offer and allow me to serve you powerfully. Go down below and schedule your coaching session. I'm very much looking forward to adding value and serving you powerfully and helping you to overcome your greatest challenge right now, or to take opportunity, or to take advantage of your greatest opportunity. Also, you're more than welcome, and you should definitely sign up for my free 5-day online holistic transformation challenge. The link is below. It's a short 5-day course I've created, loaded with tons of value on all different subjects of holistic transformation that I would guarantee you, if you complete and you take action on, you will be enjoying some very powerful results. So go down below, sign up. Amazing value, great insights and information I've distilled for each and every one of you in my 5-day transformation challenge. Also, I recently created a new Facebook group, the Personal Mastery Society, through which I'm sharing a lot of resources, insights, and so on, because I would love to build a community and serve you guys and have high level of interaction and get you guys to meet others who are interested in becoming the best versions of themselves and who want to interact with others and add value and build community. So please guys, I've added a link below. add my new Facebook group, and let's stay connected. Let's get the conversation going on. You can add your question there, your comments and so on for the video. Please like and share this video if you think it was useful. Again, post a comment, leave me a question. If there's any question I can answer for you, I'll be more than happy to. And also, I'm gonna also add a link to my upcoming live in-person workshops and possibly webinars. Now, how is this gonna happen and when is gonna happen? Well, hopefully sometime in July we can start doing in-person workshops, and I look forward to seeing you in person and meeting you and connecting with you and serving you as powerfully, inspiring you, educating you, and empowering you. Thank you for tuning in. I love serving you guys. See you in the next episode. Bye.